Okie doke, here is a 5-minute review of this Volvo S60 Inscription model with all-wheel drive. I've had this car for about 3 days. Rented it from Sixt down here in Miami, and I think that's given me enough time to figure out what works and doesn't work. Done highway driving in city, and overall it's a great car for the price, I have to admit, but because it's Swedish, or at least I expect a very high level of ergonomic consideration, as well as general quality of design. And there are certain design choices in this cabin that really disqualify this car from serious consideration of any awards in that regard. For starters, and this is really what sticks out at me the most, this otherwise beautiful console is plagued by a very strange choice of a hard and sharp metal edge right here. So if you drive this car for more than 5 minutes, you will invariably put your leg over like this and find that you're basically just rubbing it up against a razor blade. So how that ever got past the design committee at Volvo is truly beyond me. There's also this beautiful but rather crowded console that also conveniently puts certain buttons out of your reach when you're in park. That, I think, is a major design fail as well. You've got to shift down into drive to actually be able to access any of these bottom buttons or easily access any of the ones over here. And maybe that's their thinking. You're never going to push these buttons unless you're driving, but still, it seems like a very big fail to block so much accessibility, or at least your view of the console behind this gear shift. Over here, with actual critical features, the same fail is experienced behind the turn signal indicator and the steering wheel. In fact, are the light controls. So making sure that you turn your lights on is outside of your immediate visual view from the driver's perspective. I don't think I've ever seen a car that does that so egregiously. Inside the telematics as well, there are some confusing choices. You go into the specifics of the nav, for example, and it still uses that like late 90s, early 2000s hierarchy of separating cities, streets, and numbers. And it gives you a really cumbersome and slow, I might add, look how long it takes to load, cumbersome system for selecting different letters. There's a voice activation feature. I haven't explored it too heavily, but I suppose they're really assuming that most people are going to rely on their mobile devices for navigation, and it's exactly what I've done. But even if that's the case, they've failed to make charging accessible for devices that you may mount on your windshield. Let's turn the light on up here. You'll see, the closest charging port to the dash is in here, but you have to provide your own. And then again, they do that curious thing of putting charging in here, which sort of limits your accessibility. So really, you need a very long USB cord to snake up over here. And if you're like me and put your phone to the left so it's not blocking your view, you're going to need an even longer, uglier cord to get up and over there. In my Subaru, for example, you've got lots of USB access up front, and you just have to snake a cord right over there, and you barely notice it. Things I like about this car: the cruise control and distance control system, phenomenal. Very easy to use. I didn't have to check the manual. You just turn on cruise, set your speed, and then set your distance. And the car does an unbelievable job of sensing other traffic and adjusting your speed accordingly. I've used similar systems in many other cars, including a Tesla. This one is better. I have to give Volvo incredible credit for that. Stereo is lovely. I think this is an upgraded stereo package with the Harman Kardon speakers. No complaints there. Very good bass, very high fidelity. Favorite thing, I think, actually are these sports seats. They're highly bolstered. They give wonderful support. I often get, back pain from driving for more than 30 minutes or so, and I haven't experienced that at all in this car. Lovely sunroof, big roomy back seat that I also checked out personally, and I'm about 6 feet tall. Even with the seat in the position I'm in right now, I still had plenty of room back there. Trunk seems a little smaller than usual, but overall, I'd give this car a 7 out of 10. It's not quite at that refinement level of like a BMW 5 Series or Mercedes E. I certainly wouldn't buy it just because of this. This is the number one, oh my God, what were you thinking? How could you? Design choice that is an unforgivable sin as far as I'm concerned. The CEO of Volvo needs to be put in this car and forced to drive for a whole day, rubbing his leg against this sharp edge, and I promise you they will never make that mistake again. Yeah, overall 7 out of 10. Good job, Volvo.